What up, everybody? Scuff D here, and it's November 19th when I'm doing this today. I'll probably get this uploaded on the 20th, which is Wednesday? Tuesday, Wednesday? One of these days. Today or tomorrow, this is going to get uploaded here, but just pleased finished my World Cup Qualifier matches last night against... who was my opponent here? Against Virgil of the 13th. And so that takes me into the third spot for the US Qualifier team. I'm going to turn my volume down. I just realized that that's on. I apologize for the additional unnecessary volume. So I made the third spot for the US Qualifier team, and I wanted to go back do my the qualifier games replays. The only thing I'm missing in the course of doing the qualifiers, doing dailies, and starting the new event with the Orphans of War, unfortunately, I forgot to pin and record my my second round games, which was against Joker 1776, which is a shame because they were really good games. They were really good games, and he had a Gilliman deck. It was one of his warlords, which you don't see too often just yet because they're still new. So I really wanted to share that, and unfortunately I missed it. I went 2-1, lost to his Curs, I believe it was, and then bested his Curs and his Gilliman with my Saul and my Magnus. And those were the two warlords that I ran during the qualifiers. Again, the qualifiers team, you'll see them over and over again, just with different opponents. Was a conquest format, so two warlords, two different factions, and you have to win with both. So I'm going to go ahead and step out, because I did some early replays for first round against Cobaltan, or it could be Cobaltan. I'm going to say Cobaltan. That's how I read it. And we had some good. We've had some good matches in and out of the qualifier as well as some chat too. So I need to turn my notifications off when I do these things. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight, replay that, and then we'll get into and just kind of go through the pinned replays I've got, which was rounds 3 against Easy Almighty, and then round 4, which was against Virgil. So without further ado, here's round 1. Okay, so this is actually one of the games that we played against Cobaltan. This is round 1 in the qualifier, and his Saul Tarvitz versus my Magnus. And I played his, I think I had played up against his Saul Tarvitz in the ladder before previously, so it's very similar. I mean, Saul builds are just solid builds as they go. So it's just hit him hard, hit him fast before he can really get any powerhouses out. Now that Ashen Blow can come in really handy against any sort of big, beefy, juicy thing he's going to drop on me. So I want to make sure I use the best use of that when possible. Either, Sardarian is a great target for it. Agnaman, possibly, although Agnaman's a little bit more susceptible to Astral Warfare or Witchfire. And then you've got Rillinor, which is also a shielded unit, so important units to take out with that. And he's hit me back-to-back with stuns, which is a great start for him. And I'm just kind of building up psychic energy. That's about all I get, but I'm gonna try to steal a card. And I get Perfection's Flight, which is great because that now gives me two steals, or two not steals, rather, two destroy cards. So nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. I like that start. And with Uthazar in my hand and an Astral Warfare if I really need to, we're going to use that Ashen Blow on the Skitarii, and I'm really kind of flippant with that because now that I've got the Perfection's Flight, and I can also, somewhere in my deck, if I get the Book of Lorgar, I'm going to be able to get that Ashen Blow back. And just in time, too, with 6 energy, he's dropped his Sardarian, kind of on cue there. So I double down on the destruction here. And I'm already back up to 6 Psycho Energy. Next turn I'll be up to 9. If he leaves my Mecha Turtle Ball alone, which I doubt it. Although that is a nice, tasty unit for him to bring out with 7 energy. Stunning Magnus is not huge, but that goes a ways. It goes a ways for sure. Use proper use of Izzet Ore there, and then he turns right around with his Perfectionist Flight too. So can't fault him for that. Start to really get into, okay, what can we do to stave off that idling? It's always kind of tricky dropping down a Mechator when he's got a unit plus his Warlord, with all the flank options on the table, or in this case direct damage, because he can still attack that front line there, that with either Saul, or in this case he's got Saul, and then he's got a fast and the Warlord, and he just goes full face, and you cannot fault him for that. That's just the risk of it. And I think at this point he's really crunching down on damage wise. It's just going to take just the right damage, and I'm going to go with the amount of pool that I've got. Psycho Energy, I'm going to juggle that Witchfire, which is a great draw, good time to get it. But I'm starting to doubt myself, and I think I gotta get rid of that idling more than anything else. It's gonna be a stretch, but realistically, it's gotta happen. Thankfully, it does here, and I think I got a little bit over ambitious with it, doubling up on Saul initially. I probably should have gone straight for idling first and then spent that, but that was really important. And then between Sardarian now and Saul, if he's got a Perfection's Flight, or not Perfection's Flight, probably the Emperor in hand, that's going to be lethal. So I've got to get something, whether it's front line or something to stop it. I'm going to have to use Yuria to drop his ability to use Saul to attack with. So I'm going to stay outside that lethal range, and that actually ends up winning me the game. He did, in fact, have Pride of the Emperor in his hand there. We talked a little bit after the game. So going into game 2, Bulova versus Saul. And Bulova versus Saul is a nice matchup. Both sides can swing it really quickly depending on which way they go. He's got a great start there with the stealth unit coming out. I've got some anti-stealth in the deck, but obviously none in my hand. However, if I can stun his Warlord, that's going to negate his potential to pump his units right out the get-go. So he's going to be a little bit behind the gate, and he's going to have to make a choice here, and then he does indeed blow that troop. So then, how do you go from there? Well, I've got Sardarian out. I can bring him out early on, and I think against Bulova, if you can get the big beefy guys out right away and squash anything he tries to pump out before he's got enough energy to bring out to bear any solid flankers or anything like that, then you really have a chance. Up here he can do 5 damage to my face with the last rifle section, but that's it. And he can't follow through with it on Sardarian. Sardarian's going to be able to take out a unit of my choice. This right here is really just kind of the kicker. This is the icing on the cake with Hall of Rights. Getting the Marcus Lanesh on a Borax with Hall of Rights is delicious. And at that point, it's a very daunting task. He's got an uphill battle to try to even fight that, and I think he realized that. So it was a good game. So, following round 1, like I said, unfortunately I didn't get the replays to stick, or I just didn't do the replays. I'm sorry. I apologize. I just got overwhelmed with new games, daily games, event games, and I didn't pin the second round games against Joker 1776, who ran Kurz and ran Gilliman, and they were good games. They were solid games. I really wish I could showcase them, but I want to thank him as a good opponent. We had definitely some good plays. So then that took me into round 3, which was against Easy Almighty, and those were, as you can see here, here's the results, but I kind of want to just replay the games. I mean, it's kind of defeats the purpose sometimes when you can see the results, but it was a tough match. Tough matches. So right off the bat, I'm seeing Kurz, so this is too high of a cost. I kept Sardarian because Sardarian's good to start strong if you can get him. Bikes, I'll take him as a turn 1 go-to, and Vorax can be useful depending on how he does Kurz. Some players will use the fast drops for their Kurz, like the 4-3s and the 3-3s that are contingent upon your opponent or you not having troops out. And some of them do the Recon Talon and a bunch of stealth. Now, obviously, he got a nice abandoned supplies pull there with his Skitarii Protector. And then I've just got to make the hard call. I'll draw some cards here. And hopefully get a Tactical Brilliance and be able to play that Sardarian earlier. If not, he's still very powerful when he comes out. But in the Kurz matchup, at that point, it's tricky because he is then susceptible to Reaper of Kaldrak or Kurz's Chosen, and now he's got the flank guys out. And that's the Recon Talon out there. Now, I've got some anti-stealth within this deck. I don't know if it came up here. Let's see. As it's going to be tricky at this point. If he can keep dropping troops and flanking with them. Yeah. So not only did he get the Skitarii with the abandoned supplies, but he also got the Kurz's Chosen with abandoned supplies. So that's hard. That's hard. That doesn't mean that my options are, non-existent, but it's not too pleasant. I had to take 7 to the face and use the Longinus to get rid of it. And there's just no easy way to get around that. So no Tactical Brilliance here, which means I've got to do Sardarian the hard way. On the plus side, I've got 2 of them. And I've also got a stun option if I need to. So if I put Sardarian down, I'm thinking, okay, I can kind of protect him. Even if he can't attack on him from a Reaper of Kaldrak, I should be able to stun that Reaper of Kaldrak and still do something. And then I'm just going to go double down at this point where we're at. If he can't get rid of Rillinor, I can at least put down some powerful Sardarians. But no, he gets the Perfection's Flight. Of course he does. I have 1 Perfection's Flight in this deck at the time, and of course he drew it. So maybe I should have gone with a Vorax, but then are you getting maximum value? Probably not. And we'll go with the stun instead. Now, at this point in the game, and it's tricky with Saul. Saul games you can power out hard early, or you can drop the powerhouses later in the game, and that's okay. But when you're down 5 health, and you're against the Night Lords, and Kurz has the potential to go into Madness, that's really something you want to stay out of. And the fact that he locked those guys really was frustrating. He's putting down 2 Talons, which it has me thinking, okay, he's got the potential to do like a punitive action and clear my board before he attacks with anything else, which is most likely the case. So I'm going to keep that stun guy, return him back into my hand. I'm just going to up the pressure and do what I can do. And what he's going to do here instead is he's just going to duck out, and that's okay. If I can draw my Skitarii Protector, I've got Yuria in here, I've got Joker Company. If I can draw any of those options, all right, there we go. Now, the sad thing is there's 3 different things, and of course it gets the one I wasn't really wanting to get, but I'll take it, and I'll hopefully get some card draw here. If anything, I've got a front line, maybe that'll work, right? And this, I think I was just like, okay, let's just put something down. Let's try to get something to... If I've got Hall of Rights and I'm able to put down a couple of these guys and they get the right mark of chaos, whether that's Tzeentch or, any of them, really, except for Nurgle, that might buy me the time and the heat needed to duck out late game, right? It's hard. It's really hard to say. Now, this is a nice play on his part because, that Arcadia's is just does 1 damage, but combined with Mercy and Forgiveness, he can break through that Skitarii, and then he goes stealth. And Unless I have a second Skitarii or other tactic to break stealth, it's not going to happen, right? And then that leaves me. Now he's got several options here in terms of being able to go right back into stealth. So that really leaves me hard pressed to find a way to put up a front line, and I can, but I made a call here to go with the Sardarian. I could have done Hall of Rights and Odovacar and given Odovacar a front line. I really could have, and that might not have been a bad move. But as it was, I took the gamble. I got him stealthed, and I'm just hoping I can last long enough to break through it. And that's kind of, I mean, that sucks, because then he's going to be able to still flank with that unit, and I can't do anything. I can't kill my own unit. So then what do? You just get sad. You try to do what you should have done the turn before. Make it a little bit harder for him to press through that. And I'm still, at this point, 12 cards in, I'm still like banking on maybe I'll draw that Uria that will really foil his plans. And he might have a Spectre of Death. That's entirely possible. Now, the fact that he got the front line there, that's the third front line up, and that makes me sad, because now I've got to chew through with the one unit that doesn't have shield. I'm not getting anything here that I really want. I'm just using that destroy just as a, just as the destroy. And at this point here, I mean, if he got Raven, it's over, right? I'm in lethal range, and I don't like it. And that's exactly what happens. So it was a hard-fought game. Just things didn't come up good for me, but that's the way they go. And then you go into game 2. So knowing that he does not have Kurz, then make the choice. Do you stick with Saul to go against whatever his next option is? And I say yes, because I've been playing Saul consistently for 2 months. I know what the deck can do. It doesn't have a terribly hard matchup. It does have some unfun matchups, but it can still eke them out. So I went with it against his Magnus. And I mean, I played some replays, I think a couple of videos back, kind of highlighting Saul in general in the deck build, but this is a shining example as far as how to deal with the Magnus option. I mean, there's always ways to deal with every Warlord. I think Magnus is not a problem. If you're getting frustrated with him, you might want to just consider trying some different things, because he's beatable. Here we are. He's got 10 hit points more than me. He's got a secondary resource. What do I got? I've got perfection, and I've got the ability to drop the cost of my units. That's really what I run. Do a little bit of chip damage. Try to break him before he breaks me. And I typically expect, so not only does he have the 10, now he's also healed 3, and he's disposed of a troop. He's holding up his Psyker Energy, though. He didn't use his zap attack. He actually went face on that, which I thought was interesting, which tells me that he's building up for most likely to either hold in hand an Ashen Blow or to drop an Astral Warfare. Either of which are strong plays, depending on what I've got on the board. That will it or won't it work? And he can take that. He can take that 3. I'm down. I'm up 4 technically, but if I can put pressure on him and stay out of range, or at least make him spend cards and attack options on my troops as opposed to my Warlord, that buys me the time. If he plays the Astral Warfare here, I can still eke something out with the cards I've got in hand. I've got some fast damage there, as well as the burst damage and pride. So I'm willing to take that. I was surprised that he didn't have anything, but at the same time, greatly relieved. So I just say, let's go for the throat. Let's bring him down quick, because at this point, 6 energy, he's going to have 8. If I put those 2 guys down the Edge and Meisler bikes, they might not be able to do anything, right? And he goes for the Forge Complex. Now I've got 5 in hand from the bikes, plus 2 from Idachin, so that gives me 7. And that's just what I'm going to do, try to put as much heat on him as possible. Now he could still, you know, have Izak or some additional heals, but he didn't have Ekratrez. He didn't drop, what's his face? The Apothecary, I'm drawing a blank on right now. And he he just didn't have any options to make it out. All it would take was some one phase strike. So I claimed that. And that wasn't even dropping, you know, heavy guys. That was just using what I had at my disposal a little bit ahead of curve. I'm going to unpin those so they can go away. Good games. No, pin, unpin. Thank you. And then we go into game 3, and this is a mirror match. Magnus mirror match. If you, they are what they are, man. They are back and forth. Sometimes they are off by 1 card. This is a good game. I like what I'm starting with. I like Penthu Dast. That's the guy who I was thinking of, right? I like that I'm starting with Penthu. I like that I've got a City of Light. I'm not terribly excited about a second City of Light right away, but at the same time, I'll take it. The downside is I don't have any Psyker abilities to start out with in my hand, and the Barge, I'll be honest with you, I don't know how well Ornithaw's Barge is going to play in this matchup. It's something I would have mulliganed if I had the option, but I kept it because generally it's a decent contingent or backup card. I didn't know who I was facing. I didn't know what Warlords Easy had. So then we're playing the game where it's kind of like, okay, who can drop what? You know, does he have an immediate answer for my Penthu? Sometimes it's a gamble. Do you put down Penthu too early, or do you hold him for later? And, you know, it sucks. It sucks losing a guy like that because that's some extra heat, especially when he can do it on his turn and follow up at the same time he gets rid of mine, right? Never fun. On the plus side, you know, I've got a way to buy some time by bouncing that Penthu with Melgator. It's one way to get rid of it. You know, I think that's just what I'm going to have to do. Now, I used my ability here because I've already got the City of Light, and potentially going to generate 4, at least 3, so I'll still have 11 Psychic Energy coming to me on my next turn. That's okay. But I'm not getting really too much to support, and that makes me sad. Manifest Destiny is something you don't have to put out right away, especially that early on the game. You can hold on to that, whereas City of Light, the effect is really going to snowball throughout the game. Manifest Destiny will hold off, or you can put it out there if you think you're getting closer to lethal or you've got nothing else to do. But if you can get City of Light early enough, just like Forge Complex, like, you can't fault him for that play. He's not putting anything on the board, but over the course of the game, that's going to pay dividends. That is a good card to get early enough. Just the same thing as Servo Harness for the Iron Hands. Those are good cards. And as you can see here, I don't have anything. I got nothing. I got 2 Astral Warfares, which is great, and a Barge. But Barge is contingent upon him having units down. Now, on the plus side, he just put units down. So I could go up and drop him, right? And I think that's what I'm going to have to do here. The downside of that is, you know, you don't roll great, and you get guys who basically all he has to do is play his Astral Warfare. He'll lose his 8 Psychic Energy, but he doesn't have to worry about any of these 3 units, and that makes me sad. But that's the way the game goes. It could have been Ogrins, it could have been Bunkers. You know, not that Bunkers would be too much better. So he's, in terms of health exchange, he's making the difference. And then he created my healing, my Ekratrez, which is just fantastic. This is just becoming an uphill battle very quickly. And my options are getting bad, man. I don't know if he's thinking I didn't have a second Astral or what. Like some Magnus decks only have the one. So here's what I do. This is because I don't really have any options. I'm going to use the second Astral, and then I'm going to use Book of Magnus to get back both the two Astrals that I played, as well as hopefully draw something else. Well, I drew them again, and then I've got no other option except to play that Illuminations to draw two. And that's kind of a clutch card. Do you have it? Do you need to use it? In this instance, I needed something. And I still wasn't too thrilled with what I'm getting, right? I mean, I actually got more useful cards out of that Jubok than I got out of my deck through the course of this game. Although I was glad that he didn't use that accurate heal, but I don't think at this point he really needed to. I think he was sitting pretty. He felt he was sitting pretty. So I can't fault him for that. And that's a strong play. That's a strong play. And then I've got some board clearing options, which is great. And that's what I'm going to have to go with. I'm going to save up for a second Astral Warfare. And hope I've got something here to get rid of that ore, and it works. Sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't. He's still up on me on health, though. I mean, you can say I've got the Survivor, but I'm just not getting these things here. And this is where the game starts to really, at the end games here, when I'm using my options, and he's got a second Ekra following up with, when he's using, you know, I have to use my options to address his little stuff as opposed to play for the big game. That really gives the advantage to him. And then here is a toss-up. Do I use the Mortar Carrier or the Defensive Satellites? I'm going with the Defensive Satellites, so I can use the Astral Warfare. And theoretically, board clear, get rid of that healer, because that, I can't allow him to gain more health, right? Unfortunately, didn't kill him, so he's still got more health options. He can heal up 3 and give himself 8, which, if you're not counting, I mean, in terms of healing, I think he's gained 6 additional health through the course of this game, and then he plays a Manifest Destiny. I think, whereas I've just been able to play the Manifest. And again, going back to that early game Penthudast, it's really kind of a gamble. Do you do it? Don't you do it? There's not really much you can do. And then here, this ends up being a misplay, which is unfortunate. I really did not mean to play Belak Uthazar right then and there. I meant to save him. And because you want to play him and then at least play a Psyker ability or play 2 Psyker abilities if you can. He's not doing anything for me there. I meant to either play the Uria or the Helios. I think the Uria would have been the stronger play just to make an immediate... I mean, he still would have gotten Ashen Blowed, but he would have to... I would still have that... I would still have Belloc for later in the game. And as it is there, I don't. So, here we go. This is the Twilight Hours. I don't like the fact that I've got 2 cards in my hand, and he's got 5 in his. But... we are neck and neck, and this is really where those endgame plays come in. I've exhausted my Psyker pool. I'm gaining 4 a turn, which is great. So in 2 turns, I'll be able to use that Ashen Blow. He's used both his Ashen Blows. Actually, I think he might have just used the same Ashen Blow and then gotten it back with the book. And I got nothing. I got nothing to throw except, you know, throw that Uria down and hope that it can stick. And I don't think it does. I don't think it does long enough to do anything. No, more healing. This is a long game, but I make no apologies. It was a good game, and just these end plays were really brutal. And unfortunately, I make Whispers, but because of Uria, I can't use the Whispers, so I have no choice. I have no choice but to just punish myself. And you have the choice. Do you go for Do you go for face with Yuria? The reason I didn't, because then I'd still have to take care of that Pi Alpha with Magnus, which would pop my Survivor, and the odds are very high that he's got a Octo, which I haven't seen my Octos this entire game, right? I've got 2 in here. It would be great. It would be great to have them. It would be great to have them. And there's finally one shows up. I can't say too little too late. It wouldn't have done any good to play the Octo and the Ekra. Just would have lost any sort of momentum that I would have had. I'm just going to have to eat whatever he's got for me, and I think this is probably going to wrap up the game. Because if he's got an Octo before I've got my Octos, then we just do sad faces. And, yeah. Yep. Ugh, and there you go. So he's got 2 mortar carriers. And that's just it. That's how that one went. So with that put me into the battling for the 3rd spot. Battling for the 3rd spot of the U.S. team for the qualifiers. Hang on here. Get back into battle log. Let's unpin that battle report. It took a little bit because I think initially Virgil of the 13th had thought that it was just a single limb and he was out, and I don't think he realized that he was in for the final spot. So we got back online. I think people through his lodge got in touch with him and got him back online, and we were able to play last night. So we started out same warlords, nothing's changed. I wasn't sure who he was playing. I think he had an Erland because there was some discussion in the lodge and he had mentioned Erland. So I was okay. I need to be fast and I need to have a little extra health. Alfarius games can go one of 2 ways with Tarvitz, and I've kind of highlighted that with some of the builds I've had. If you can get your stuff out early and drop cards early, you have a chance. You have a very fast chance, and the biggest thing that they can do for you is if they get lucky and stun. Well, I've got some anti-stun in the deck, but it's only 1 card. But that Sabotage, I like that for a reason, because I can use that to anti-stun. I'll jack whatever other abilities that my unit has got, but that was a very good copy for me. The downside is it also shows me that he has Sabotage in his deck, and that just means that he has the potential to sabotage my units as well, right? But I'm going to start out with Rillinor because Rillinor is a great way to start. If I can get the next turn follow up with that Miceless Jet Bikes, that could easily become a 7, but he plays a Sabotage. So I wasn't entirely surprised. He must have top decked that, or he's got 2 in the deck. But that still leaves me with a beefy troop to fight, right? So I'm not going to complain there. And Jubak is kind of a gamble. He really is. He's kind of a gamble as far as how long do you keep him out there against Alfarius. But I've got enough cheap troops out there to warrant keeping him out there for a while. And he draws heat away from my warlord, and he's going to give me useful tools against his forces. So, if it takes another turn or 2 for him to get rid of a Jubak, and that gives me up to 6 cards in my hand with the ability to play 2 or 3 of them in a turn, I'm feeling comfortable there. And Saboteur Squad, between having Saboteur Squad and Saul's ability, that could really up my potential in eking out ahead of the game, right? Use his own Secret Order against him, which is nice. I was surprised that he was playing Secret Orders. I think that's great. That's a nice little surprise. And I'm not gonna hold back here. I'm gonna use that Sabotage. That's 1 card out of my hand. I'm gonna use Saboteur Squad to drop him down a peg, and we're just gonna kind of clear up there, get rid of that threat, and do a little bit of damage to face. I love being able to return a Sleeper Operative to Alpha Legion side, because if he's got card drawing cards, he may just not want to play them. He may not want to use that secret identity that he just drew, for the simple fact that it's going to make him draw a card and he'll lose more health for it. So it holds off that potential they have to really up the cost of my own board, right? So now we're at the point where we can bring out the heavy stuff. Is he going to have answers for the heavy stuff right away? Yes or no? If he can, then then we play the longer game and we start using some of the other tactics and fast options like the jet bikes. And he got an Exodus. And Exodus is a pain in the butt, and that's one reason why I've got the Joker Company and the Skitarii Protector. And I'm just really happy to see that they both ended up in my hand for this matchup. And I'm going to go with Joker Company here because if I can kill that Ekra, that's probably, well, I would have gone for the Joker Company, but I guess, oh yeah, I can still go for Joker Company, can I? I can, but I'm going to hit hard. I'm going to pressure him. And if that's what he's got to get his life low, there's too many cards on table. With his ability, he can only kill one, which would be the Sardarian. That would be the smart move, right? He's going to go for the stun instead, which I don't think that's a terrible idea. That's a triple stun, but I still got this guy untouched. This was a game that was just last night, and I really can't remember how it wrapped up. I just knew that it was fast and furious. So in a way, I'm kind of like watching again. And now I'll play the Joker Company. You only get 3 health. That's all you need. You don't need nobody else. I'll take it. Now, the reason I put Joker Company there is in the event that he's got the instrument. He's going to leave my if he uses instrument either on Sardarian or Joker Company, he's not killing my Skitarii Protector. And then with the damage I've got in hand, plus the 2 troops on board, I can get rid of that front line and wrap this up, which is what I'm going to go ahead and do. And Longinus against Alpha Legion, I tend to put just on their Warlord, just so I'm not drawing extra cards, unless it's necessary, because that's usually how they play, is feeding you cards, so it's not bad just to do 3 damage to their Warlord. So that game went quick, and then we get on to the last game. And this game, I know if I can just win one more game with Magnus, whether it's against an Alfarius or against his Erlin, if he's running Erlin, which he ends up running Erlin, I'm in that 3rd spot. So high stakes, high excitement. I'm liking that starting hand. Erlin can punch for 3 consistently. And with World Eaters in general, that is just going to, the lethal range closes really quickly. I'm up by 10, but in 3 turns, we will be even Steven. I can't not attack him. I've got to drop stuff down or draw stuff down that is going to draw heat from him. So what do? Do you do Jubak or do you do Ekra? And I think if I do Ekra, I'm either banking on him having to deal with a random damage, like a Mortar Strike, or I can at least get a turn or 2 healed out if he doesn't have Sedition's Gate, because that's really the only 2 ways that he's going to be directly able to deal with Ekra. This early in the game. Late in the game, it's kind of a gamble because he could have defensive satellites, no survivors, whatever the case. Now, Izakor Aura I've got in my hand, and I'm so glad to see that because I know when we get into that lethal window, Erlin can punch for 3, but his finishers are from troops. They're going to come from either Goldstones or Speeders. So if I can time that and play Izakor Aura at the right turn to stall him from being able to sweep and advance me with the Goldstones or Speeders, that's going to buy me the turn. If you've ever had Izakor Aura played against you in that mode, you can understand that that's how that works. Yeah, not going to complain about that. That's a good copy. And I like the fact that I got it before he got it. Because, the longer Erlin goes with his game and his health, and this is a 2nd card I've stolen, Phi Alpha, going to give me more health. I almost feel like EZ in that game that we played, where I'm janking his stuff, and it's good stuff to jank. But we're even. Here we are. We're 6 energy, despite all the cards I've played, with him just consistently hitting for 3, hitting for 3, hitting for 3. We are even Steven. We both have 20 health, right? It's not an easy battle. It's not a it's the pressure has got to be matched from the Thousand Suns side. Some of these tactics, Astral Warfare might work, but it's not a given. Ashen Blow isn't going to do much against me with an Erlin, because typically he doesn't run troops. So anything I can do that Octo is going to be useful. If I can draw like a Witchfire with Belek Uthazar, that'll be beneficial too. The Skitarii Protector is just going to be good to buy me some time. But really what I'm looking to do is deal damage and increase my health with the healing I have to try to keep that window wide. Because it's not a guarantee. It's not a guarantee as far as how wide I can keep that window. We went from even Steven to me up by 7, and then through the course of this one turn, now I'm down. Or I mean, could have been down. I guess I'm done. I think we're even again. We are even again. So it just is that fast. One turn up, the next turn right back to where you started. And we are at the 12 energy, so I have got to, now's the time. Now's the time to drop it. Drop that goldstone, that buys me a turn. And with the Uthazar and the Astral Warfare side by side, and my Psyker pool up enough, I can play Astral Warfare twice, which is going to give me a window of 4 to 10 damage. And he's at 7. So if I can get past that, the goldstone is just the extra kicker, right? And I don't think it's necessary. But, well, I guess I did. Oh, yeah, because 3 plus 2, instead of playing Uthazar, I can play 3 plus 2, and that gives me 5, as opposed to a chance of 5. So that's what I went with. And it was tricky. I think he had the sweep in advance up in his hand, and he was going to be able to finish it, but that Uthazar really saved me the game. Or not Uthazar, that Isaac Orr. New neutrals coming out. Oh, I gotta take a look at Skypoint's thing. 30 minutes ago, he put up new neutrals. If you haven't checked it out, head over to Skypoint's video. He's teasing a few of them. I'm gonna go check these out when I'm done here. So, with that victory, I gotta get to work. Damn it, work. Stop being necessary for me to live. So with that being said, that gets me into the U.S. team. So the U.S. team is comprised of myself, Phil Carey, and Easy Almighty. And I think there's a few other qualifiers to wrap up for some other teams. And then we'll be looking to figure out, when it starts. So excited. Wanted to share that. Don't think I'll be taking both of these guys into the tournament, but there's no guarantee that with the new neutrals that are going to be coming out here on Friday, that could change up some deck options. So really kind of curious to see how that influences the play. So that's it for me, guys. Thank you for checking in. Thank you for watching. I wanted to share some replays here. These are tournament qualifier games, and over the course of the games that we do play, however far we go in the World Cup, I plan on sharing my matches here as well, just to kind of show it's nice to be able to do that. I think Lodge Wars 2 is the last one I was able to do that on, because I didn't play Lodge Wars 3. Although I did show some of my team's Lodge War stuff that they shared in the chat, but I didn't get to show my own, so here you go. All right, that's it for me. I've got some stuff coming up. We've got Word Bearers card by card. We've got we're gonna have to take a look at the new neutrals here following Friday, because the whole set will be out. So we got to take a look at that. Probably do some crate opening with my 9,000 gold. I'm not gonna get too many crates. I think I might. I don't even know if I want to get 30 crates, to be honest with you. Okay, I'll get 30 crates. I talked myself into it. We'll do that. And then Ultramarines card by card, probably in a couple weeks. And some other stuff coming up. So busy. Hope you enjoyed it. Keep playing Legions, and we will talk to you next time.